This is one of the most exciting companies we've had on Mad Money since we started. When you look at retailers that shot the lights out this earnings season, what's the one thing they have in common? They all have a strong direct-to-consumer, we call it DTC business. And the best way to reach your customers directly is by selling them stuff online. Which brings me to Shopify, and as simple as shop for all you home gamers, a cloud-based software company that gives merchants the tools they need to compete on the internet. Their platform can help you set up an online store and then handle everything from digital marketing to payments to shipping. Shopify actually got its start as a web-based snowboard store, but the founders were so disappointed with the existing e-commerce software tools that they decided to create their own. Then they started selling those tools to other small and medium-sized businesses. Now Shopify, this stock, it's just one incredible performer. Came public at $17. Listen, it's 2015. Now it trades at 175, a move that includes a 27% gain for the year. This morning, Shopify reported a terrific quarter, and then initially the stock sold off. At one point, it was down like $12. What the heck? Then it rebounded and closed up a couple of bucks in the end of the day. I think the quarter would have been much better received if the stock hadn't run so much going into it. The company delivered a 6-cent earnings beat off a 20-cent basis with higher than expected sales up a staggering 54% year over year. The problem? Shopify gave inline guidance for the next quarter and the full year when some investors were hoping for a more spectacularly bullish forecast. The next time it sells off, you might want to do some buying, but don't take it from me. Let's check in with Harley Finkelstein, Shopify's chief operating officer, hear more about this incredible company, the quarter, and where it's headed. Mr. Finkelstein, welcome to Mad Money.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Jim.
All right, we're going to start with a tweet because it's just too priceless. This is from Empowered Millennial Investor, who says, if Shopify was based out of Silicon Valley, it would be called FANGs, with the S being you, and talked about every day on CNBC. Harley is a force of nature. Make Ottawa proud tonight, Harley. I want you to just dissect that for our viewers who have not heard of your amazing company.
Well, I mean, we're a Canadian-based company, so maybe a little bit of modesty up here carries over there. But we're really happy with how things ended, how we ended the year, and certainly the quarter was great. And we're really excited about our future.
Well, you have more than 820,000 customers. You were the fastest to get to $1 billion. This is I understand your humility, sir, but Shopify is indeed a force of retail.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. We've been at this now for almost 14 years, and as you mentioned, we've grown to 820,000 merchants, up from 600,000 merchants a year ago. And we have, a big top of funnel with brand new entrepreneurs getting started on Shopify for the very first time. And we also have some very large brands like the big CPGs and some big DTC, direct-to-consumer companies all using Shopify to scale their businesses. And we got a really great business model, and we're having a lot of fun.
Right. I want people to, that means a company like a Budweiser, a Nestle, a P&G, a Red Bull, a Tesla. But I tell you, a lot of our viewers are completely crazed by the person who made almost $1 billion on Shopify, Kylie Jenner. You basically made her she is a one-person mall online.
It's amazing. I think the Kylie story was surprising to a lot of people, but not for us, because, I mean, we see so many stories like that all the time, whether it's Kanye West launching his Yeezy store on Shopify, or Drake's store, or, frankly, Tom Brady's new store. We see all these major brands and huge influencers using Shopify to create authentic products and sell to the audience. And I always sort of think back to, if DTC and direct-to-consumer was around when Michael Jordan was creating the Jordan brand with Nike, I think Nike would be a supplier and Michael Jordan would be the brand. He would own the entirety of his business as opposed to getting a licensing fee. And so we're really excited about this. But even if you go beyond just Kylie, you look at companies like Bombas and Allbirds and Tommy John and Fashion Nova. These are brands that didn't exist 5-10 years ago, and they're absolutely doing incredible numbers on Shopify, and with no slowing down in mind.
Well, Harley, there'll be someone out there who's watching right now. It's got a great idea. They start to do well. And you are about empowerment. Tell us about merchant funding.
Yeah, so a couple things. So you got to remember, Shopify was built to help anyone that has an idea start a great business and sell to a global audience. So we really do bend the learning curve to make it really easy to get started. And the ones that succeed, not all of them do, but the ones that do succeed, they grow really, really large with us. And over time, we want to provide them with more services, more solutions. So for example, we launched Shopify Payments a couple years ago, where we went to the payments companies and negotiated rates on their behalf. We launched Shopify Shipping, where we went to the payments companies and once the shipping companies and negotiated shipping costs on their behalf. So we always are trying to find economies of scale to help democratize the entire business process for these small businesses. And more recently, we realized that a lot of these small businesses, they also need capital. And because we have so much information on them, we're able to make really quick and very effective underwriting decisions. And so we were able to go and offer them capital cash advances. And we've given out hundreds of millions of dollars of cash advances to a lot of these small businesses who, if it wasn't for Shopify, would not be able to get this money on their own.
Well, I think this is an amazing story. Now, I live in Brooklyn, about a mile from Etsy. Could you distinguish I mean, obviously there's room for everybody, but what's the difference between Etsy and Shopify?
Yeah, I mean, Etsy fundamentally is a marketplace. Etsy is a place where someone who makes a product can go to find an audience. But our feeling is that, for an entrepreneur, they don't always want to rent the audience. They want to own the audience. They want to have a direct relationship with their customers. They want to own the entire profit margin. They want to be able to sell and have long-term relationships with the people that are buying their products. And so companies like Etsy, do a really good job of curating a bunch of products and renting those customers to those makers. And we think the marketplace are really great, but we think fundamentally, ultimately, makers and entrepreneurs and merchants, they want to have a direct relationship with the people buying their products. And so one of the things that is not well known about Shopify, but one way to think about what we do is we're really this retail operating system where merchants can start a store with us very easily, and they can build a beautiful online store, but they can also cross-sell to different marketplaces like eBay or Amazon. But the idea is that it all feeds back into one centralized back office, which is Shopify. And that's where they can run the entirety of their business. And really the idea is, let's become the most important piece of software they use on a daily basis. The first thing they open every morning, the last thing they close every night. And so obviously marketplace will play a role there, but ultimately merchants want to find customers wherever those customers exist, and more and more they want to sell direct to those customers.
Oh, I got to believe. Now, the one last question. You guys are very forward thinking. I think there's a market that's going to be disrupted worth $250 billion in consumer products, and I think that's the cannabis market. That's how big I think it is. You're not holding back. You're right there with Canadian cannabis, aren't you?
Yeah, so obviously the reason we started with Canada was there was clarity in Canada.
Right.
The Canadian government, the legislator, they were very clear on how they were going to roll out the commercialization and the legalization of cannabis sales on the consumer side. And we felt it was really important for us to act quickly and effectively to not only win as much of the Canadian market as we possibly could, but also to show the rest of the world as they begin to think about cannabis sales that we are the first phone call that they should be making. And so whether it's the province of Ontario or British Columbia, or most of the largest licensed producers like Canopy in Canada, Shopify is what's powering those retail sales. And we think that we can do a great job helping other countries and other regions do the same thing.
Well, congratulations for what you've done for all of the merchants, more than 820,000, and for all the shareholders. That's Harley Finkelstein. Yes, if he were in Silicon Valley, maybe it would be the S and Fangs, but I like the fact he's up in Ottawa. What a story. Mad Money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.